Coming up next on Spirit Uncensored, Sunshine Frost gives heart-healing validations during this amazing pet mediumship, giving her client much more than anyone expected.
He said, I just thank you for being the best mom I could have had. You always did for me. You always cared for me. You always kept everything up with me. From the grooming to the baths to the treats to the cutie outfits, everything that you did for him, he loves you for it. He said, please don't blame yourself. That dog was in so much pain. That dog was in so much pain. That attack, there was a pulling, like they're pulling and twisting of the spinal cord. Even though he could move, the damage to the nerves, the damage to everything in his body was like he was being pulled apart. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible to watch. It was horrible trying to stop the bleeding and everything else. Yeah,
it was terrible, and there was nothing you could have done. And even the recovery with the animal hospital would have been so painful for him.
Just prolonged.
He would have always been disabled, not able to properly walk without pain, not able to move without pain.
Wow.
But what really is the issue is that the other owners didn't really take responsibility for what happened the way they should have.
No, they ran and didn't even try to help us.
That's the problem. That's the major problem. You've never found the owners of these other two dogs, correct? Or have
No,
you?
ma'am.
Because I feel like there's a video, there's some way to identify them, and you need to put out on Facebook. I know you've done a little bit, but I really think you should get super active and just tell the whole story and put out as many videos, descriptions. I feel like they should be found and held accountable.
Because I did make a police report, but of course nothing came out of it. They was like, well, if you see him again, let us know, kind of deal. But nothing really concrete.
They should be found and held accountable.
Because I did make a police report, but of course nothing came out of it. They was like, well, if you see him again, let us know, kind of deal. But nothing really concrete.
That's kind of disgusting. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I'm seeing people die, and they're not doing anything really about that. So it's terrible, but I do want you to know that when your dog passed, were you holding him?
I was. Me and my boyfriend were both holding him.
Because he says, like, you were crying. He says, yeah, he could talk to me just like a person, because we were not talking with him. He said she did all that she could do, and she was crying, and she said, oh my God, and you were trying to get your boyfriend to call somewhere or do something, but there was nothing they could do. And you were trying to stop the bleeding, but he wasn't well. He was panting and he was not well. And he said, I just thank you for being the best mom I could have had. You always did for me. You always cared for me. You always kept everything up with me. From the grooming to the baths to the treats to the cutie outfits, everything that you did for him, he loves you for it. He said, please don't blame yourself. If it wasn't me, they would have attacked another dog. It would have, no matter what happened, it would have happened.
I'm sorry, I was... Oh, I love that part. Yeah.
Your little baby, he knows. And the question was, is he with your other dog? He's with two other dogs, not one. There's two others.
Yes.
That are part of your heavenly landscape. So all three of them are together.
That makes me feel so much better that he's not just there by himself. And that my lovely, I have an older one, Miracle. She was 13 when she passed, 12 or 13. And then Nala was a little puppy that sadly passed a couple weeks after I got her because she had parvo and we didn't know because she came off the streets.
Yeah.
And so, to know that he's not by himself, because he was an emotional support dog, but he needed his own emotional support. So I'm glad that he has friends.
You know, there's a cartoon about this, and there's the Grim Reaper, and they always think, oh, the Grim Reaper's horrible, but there's a little cartoon of the Grim Reaper delivering all the little animals that are unwanted and bringing them back to source. So the cartoons where the little puppy was like in one of those like barrels, and it's like in Canada, and little dog was tied up, and he's watching the family through the window, and he's like, they'll come get me soon, and it's snowing and it's terrible weather, and He says, they'll come get me soon. They'll come get me soon. And the Grim Reaper's sitting on a log just watching the little puppy, and he tries to put his little cape over him, and he goes, no, 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 don't put it over me. They're going to come back for me soon.
Oh.
So eventually the little dog falls asleep and freezes to death. And then, I'm about to cry. This story, my moderators know I cry. I haven't told this story in like 6 years, but I cry every time I tell it. So the little puppy's sitting out there watching through the window, and the Grim Reaper tries to wrap him up in his cape. And he goes, no, don't do it. You know, they're going to come back and get me. But of course they never do, because they're selfish. And the little dog he freezes to death. And then he's sad, and he goes to the Grim Reaper. I'm going to cry at him. He goes, why didn't they come get me? Why didn't they love me? And he goes, because humans are selfish by nature, and they don't know how to care for anybody else. They have to be taught. And he goes, well, no one wanted me, and now I've died, and no one wanted me in life. Who would want me now? And the little puppy was super sad, so he goes, well, don't worry, I have to take you. And he goes, where would you take me where anybody would want me? So he goes to another dimension, goes into this little hospital. He goes into this little hospital, and he goes to this little hospital bed. The boy was by himself. Someone had done something terrible to him, and he was crossing over, and he goes, I was an orphan, I was not wanted. And there's the Grim Reaper talking, the little dog's outside the door, and the little Grim Reaper's talking to the little boy, and he goes, nobody wanted me in life, who's gonna want me now? And the little boy, the Grim Reaper says, don't worry, I have a friend for you. So he takes the little boy by the hand, he leaves his body behind, he takes the puppy and he puts them together, and he goes, are you guys ready to go now? So the dog that wasn't wanted and the child that wasn't wanted found their forever family, and they go to the other side together. I always just get so emotional, because there are unwanted babies and children, and there are unwanted pets, and to know that God puts them together every time they cross over and they never cross alone, it brings a lot of joy to my heart.
It makes me way happier that I know my baby is not all of my babies are not by themselves. That's so much joy.
But your dog is definitely not alone, and that's not how God works. God is love, and so we just always feel love.
And did you get anything from Abby by any chance?
I got that was a medical emergency, and it wasn't a nothing anybody can do, and it was very unexpected, but that she was happy she had found her husband and her true love, and that she was able to have love in her life.
That is definitely
it wasn't nothing, there was no murder or nothing. It was just tragic, but it was a medical emergency, and it was a sudden passing, and that was really all I got. I didn't really tune in too much, because the more important one was about your dog.
The dog, yes, I know that. That's my face. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough. I feel so much because I blamed myself when he passed, because I had let him out, because I usually just let him out, and then when the accident
you're normally with him, but you just let him out for a second, and those dogs
for 2 seconds, and then I was like, that can't be my baby. That's not my baby. I know it's not. And then so
it just didn't even look like a real dog. It was just being torn up and pulled apart.
It didn't look real. It didn't look real at all.
I know. I saw the whole visual. I saw what they were doing. It didn't even look like a real dog at that point. It took you a minute to see the fur and realize the coloring and realize that it was off.
Yes. Oh man.
No, I saw it. I just wasn't going to discuss that part, because I didn't want to make you more upset.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But
he was happy that he died in your arms, and that you were there comforting him, and that gave him a lot of peace.
My little baby. Oh, my little chihuahua man.
All right, my dear.
Do you want to hand over?
Thank you so much, Sunshine, for that, for my friend. I appreciate that. I'm gonna give her your information for future bookings and readings and things like that.
Please do. I would love to connect with you guys.
Thank you.
God bless, sweetheart. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Wait, that got me, guys. I was crying. Are y'all kidding? I was literally crying. Matt, look, I was like crying my new face. I just put on this face. I'm like, I get emotional too.